Hi, today's review is this Hornby Class 86 right here. I bought it second hand from Hatton's last year. One of my last orders from them before Hatton's sadly wound up after decades of service. And as you'd expect from a Hatton's product, it came with the original box, including the beautiful line drawing of the LOCO on it, and of course the LOCO. Now I have already unboxed the LOCO. As you can see, it's sitting on my tracks and doing its thing. So let's just have a very quick look what we would expect inside the box. Oh, what's that? Okay, so we seem to have Pars, Lowesbury, London Road. Maybe I wonder if this was the original retailer who sold this model to its first owner. But in the meantime, let's get it out of its box. Or rather, let's get the packaging out of the box. So we've got your typical Hornby Rigiform storage thingy there with the LOCO itself, and oh yes, there we are. We've got the manual, but this seems to have suffered a bit of water damage. I need to see why that is. Oh yeah, dear me. LOCO operation and maintenance. Oh yeah, there we go. Pars 18/4/2016. This thing is dated. That's most interesting. This thing is falling apart, but let's see if I can just about open it very gently on camera and just show you the contents of it. Ah yes, there we are. You can see the motor bogie. It's got a ring filled motor. Okay, I already knew that, but yeah, I'm not gonna mess around too much more with this box because as you can see, it seems to be falling apart. So not too sure what's going on there. I mean, I kept the box under my table here safely, but I guess I may have to put it into storage and or rather at least see what's going on over here. In the meantime, the LOCO itself is a lovely runner. Just gonna clean off all this stuff from the box on my table and get it out of the way, and then next have a hands-on look at the LOCO. There it goes. Isn't that a beautiful LOCO? Very bright blue coloration, and I'm just going to bring it a little closer again here, point out one thing to you, that the nameplate, it says Les Ross on it. You will see that closer when I do a little hands-on view of the LOCO, and that's what's coming up next. Right, so here's a closer look at the Class 86. First thing I noticed on picking it up properly is that it's got an impressive amount of heft to it. And the second thing is I rather like the detailing on it. You've got the Les Ross nameplate beautifully there. You've got that crest there. I don't know what that is. Forgive my lack of knowledge there. You've got some of the brake piping picked out in red. You've got the axle boxes picked out in yellow. Now looking at the front, we can see, yes, there are no lights there, but the lights are picked out in silver. That is where the headlamps would go, in warm white of course. And down here in red is where the tail lamps would go. So perhaps in the future when I'm feeling a bit braver, I will take my Dremel to the front of this LOCO and give it the lighting that it deserves. Now if you look on the top, we can see a very beautifully detailed pantograph and stuff, because this is an electric locomotive, let's remember that. And this thing here, this little sliding thing here, I don't know why my camera is not playing nice, that has just popped out now, is where the switch would have been to switch this LOCO between pantograph operation and normal regular model train operation. Yes, this is one of those locomotives with a working pantograph, or rather an ex-working pantograph, because we will see the reason for that when we get inside this locomotive, which has got rather of a surprise for us, I must say. So let's get inside the locomotive without further ado. Okay, are you ready? I've unclipped the body off camera because the unclipping process was a bit fiddly and you would have got annoyed waiting for me to do it. So I've unclipped it off camera. 4 clipping points, 2 on either side. Just insert a screwdriver or other object from underneath. There are helpful little tabs there so that you don't massacre the body. Here we go. Are you ready? Something fell out. I think that's from the switch mechanism. And what do you see here? Now, the listing for this locomotive never told me that it had a DCC chip inside. Yes, that is a Gauge Master if I'm not mistaken. That does look very much like Gauge Master's logo. So it must be a Gauge Master DCC chip inside this LOCO. Now that's extremely interesting because the listing said yes, it had a motor, ring-field motor. It didn't say anything about DCC. It said, no, in fact, it said no DCC socket. It also said no lights, which is true. This LOCO has no lights, so that was correct. But the listing never mentioned that this thing came with a DCC chip fitted inside. I mean, look at that. That is a genuine, bona fide DCC chip right there. And that would probably explain also why this LOCO, when you give it power, it doesn't immediately start moving as you increase the throttle, and then it just starts moving slowly. I always thought this LOCO was a bit of a slow runner, so to speak, because it seemed to need a bit more throttle than most of my other LOCOs. I would have expected a Class 86 electric locomotive to be a bit nippier. Let me show you what I mean. I'm giving it 30%, 40%. You can see the gears just starting to move there. And it's a very nice runner actually. Look at that. Slight clicking coming from somewhere. I need to see what that is. Okay, it's gone away now. But look at the way that LOCO is just moving so beautifully slow. Mind you, it's doing that speed at 50% on the controller. This is 50%. Let's give it 100 and see what happens. Wrong direction. That is 100%. And another indicator that it's DCC, and in fact I already had suspected that there was something electronic inside the LOCO when I got it, is the fact that when I give it power like this, there's a 1 second lag before it does anything, which is quite characteristic of a DCC locomotive running on a DC supply. Now, some might say, yes, I shouldn't be running this DCC LOCO on a DC supply, but I've been running this LOCO for over a year in this form. First, I kind of suspected something was up. Then a few months ago when I opened it up for maintenance, I confirmed my suspicions. But all that time I've been running it like this with, no issues. And in fact, I must say the slow speed performance is quite impressive, given that this LOCO only has 6 out of its 8 wheels picking up. The other 2 have the traction tires, of course, which is a Hornby signature thing. Not a big fan of them because they leave residue on the track, but they do increase the LOCO's pulling power. And this LOCO does also have a fair bit of weight. I mean, I've just noticed that, yes, we've got a metal weight glued into the plastic chassis there, and the cabs are also metal. Yes, this is actual metal. All those switches and things are cast into the metal there. So yeah, it's featureless, it's no color or anything, but it's still metal, and definitely I shall be installing some people inside later on. Those bits that fell out was this piece here and this piece here, because I believe if I turn this over, you can see what's left there of what would have been the switching mechanism for this LOCO to switch it between pantograph or track pickup. So yes, in a way, in one way, this locomotive has been I don't want to use the term butchered, because it's actually been done pretty neatly. I mean, look at the way all this DCC wiring and all has been carried out. So yeah, this LOCO has been converted to DCC by disabling its original pantograph picking abilities. And I need to research a bit more about this decoder, because, well, it doesn't say anything about what it is. I can see there is a gauge master sleeve on it, but that's about it really. So I really want to find out what model of gauge master decoder this is, and well, then I want to see, okay, can I put some lights? Will lights work? Because even on DCC LOCOs with lights, you get some lighting functionality on DC. Yes, you can't switch lights on and off or that kind of thing, but you can have it where headlights or tail lights work. So there we are, the inside of this LOCO. Everything else is pretty conventional. Your usual Hornby ring-field motor is right there. Nothing special, no surprises there. So let's put the body back and let's have some running sessions. Okay, so let's have a look at some running of the LOCO. The motor bogie is here and the unpowered bogie is there, and the DCC chip is somewhere in the middle there, and the wires are inside somewhere. Let's have a look at the slow speed, because that's what really I was impressed by. And look at that, it's crawling beautifully. Okay, it's stuttering slightly, but I won't fault it for that, given that it's only got 6 pickups, 4 on one side, 2 on the other. But It's a very nice slow speed runner, I must say. Let's have it going forwards a bit, selecting a direction, and you can see that what I told you about how the chip, there we go. Commands take a bit of time because of the chip. So now what I'm going to show you is I'm going to back it into the siding and hook it up to some coaches. Okay, here we are. There it goes. Oh, it's going down the wrong point. And you can see it's struggling a little bit on that tight curve, but it made it. Let's get it out of there, because that is an error on my part for not setting the points properly. Okay, in the future I need to invest in some point motors, but for now let's have a look at how it will couple. I have to operate the camera and the controller concurrently. So let's go and couple the locomotive up. Okay, have we coupled? Let's find out. No, we haven't. Try again, maybe a little bit more forcefully. Hey, why is that not coupling? Okay, let me bring the loco out of there a bit. Maybe the curve has something to do with it. And let me bring the train. Oh, okay. Right, it's a problem with the wagon itself. This is one of those two-wheeled wagons from Hornby which has bogies on it, so you know, it can be a bit of a tricky one to couple to, but now we are coupled. Let's give the loco some power. Oh, it's derailed. Okay, that's fine. Make sure everything's set properly. Yes, it is. And here we go. Whoa. Right, I brought it back into the siding for a second try at a graceful exit. Let's give it about 50%. Oh, there we go. Quite eager. Let's back it down a bit as we enter the station and bring it to a stop. And let's reverse it back again to see how the reversing performance is. You can see the loco is moving. Once again, there seems to be just a little bit of cogging going on there. There we are. Let's shift the camera here. I want to see how it rides on the points. Little more throttle. I'm going to make it go through this little S here of sorts into the second siding. So let's see how the train fares. Let's see how the loco of all things fares. Will it slow down? Yes, it will slow down a bit. So that's a bit of a concern. And let's bring it to a stop before it hits the buffers. And there you are. You can see the loco in the siding right there. Let's bring it out again at a bit of a sprightly speed and drop the speed down a bit. And then let's have it going around the layout a bit, shall we? Let's change the points once again and let's turn things around so we can see how it comes along, enters the tunnel and comes out of the tunnel. And now let's bring it back into the siding. There it comes. I'm going to give it a bit more power here because of that slowdown, and let's stop it right there. So there you are, my review of my Hornby Class 86, which has turned out to be quite an interesting loco on the inside particularly, but I like it. It's one of the smoother runners and it definitely needs a wheel clean now. So that's what I'm going to do to it next. Hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for more videos on model train, model car and other stuff. And don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching and have a great day.